A few weeks ago, I digitally apparel patterned a fun scalloped edge neckline in Adobe Illustrator, and today we are going to be making it. Hi, I'm Christina Hadley-Dyke, and I love to digitally apparel pattern and create my own unique wardrobe. I got this pattern right here, all looking nice and happy. It's all trued out, it's ready to get printed, and I am super pumped to make it out of this fun green fabric. It is a little lightweight, so I'm hoping it works out, but it was a fun color with this fun, unique neckline. I wanted the fabric to be a little bit more toned down. So let's get printing, taping, and sewing. Let's go. First, I'm going to lay out my pattern in the order it definitely printed in some funky orders, and I'm having to make sure and double check that all the pattern pieces are going in the right direction. Next, I'm going to tape it all together and make sure that it is nicely lining up on all of my seams. Then it's time to cut out that pattern. And the front, there it goes. Now I'm going to lay out my fabric and put my patterns on top of the fabric. I'm going to make sure that fabric is not rolled at the end. Because of how lightweight this fabric is, it is wanting to roll a little bit. So I'm just having to double check that. Then I'm just going to weight this pattern down and cut it on out. There's the back. Now I'm going to open it up and cut out my front. Since I'm not cutting this on the double, before I actually cut it out, I'm actually going to trace out my scalloped neckline. So I don't have to follow the edge. I actually want a guideline to tell me where I'm going to be sewing. And this tracing paper actually really helps tell and show exactly where I'm going to sew. I love this type of tracing paper. I use it all the time. Look at how nice that looks. So nice. Now that I have my entire pattern cut out, I am going to make sure that my little guidelines are all snipped so that when I line everything up, I can easily line it up and know what goes where. First thing I'm going to do is stitch my scallops. So I'm going to put the facing on. I'm going to do front or right side to right side, right at the front neckline. And I'm going to give it a really good pin all the way around. And then I'm going to sew it. I am sewing with a ballpoint needle, and I'm also doing just a slight zigzag on this, and I'm just following my guideline that I traced on there so that I can get a really nice crisp scalloped edge. Got to pull those pins so that you don't ram over them. And then it's time to trim away all the excess and trim into each one of those points. If you don't trim in close enough, you'll have a little bit problems when you're actually trying to flip it. So now it's time to flip and iron. So I just kind of push them all the right way where I want to go. I'm going to grab a ham and then just iron one scallop at a time to make them look nice and crisp. Woo! I am loving how this turned out. It is super cute. So I'm going to give it one more press. There it is. Look at how nice that looks. Now it's time to actually make this shirt and put it together. So I'm just going to sew my facings edge so that's nice and clean. And then I'm going to finish up the collar first. So I'm going to sew the top edge of this collar, and then I'm going to sew the center front part that's going to be from my shoulder seam around the front of my neck to my other shoulder seam. And then I'm going to leave from the neck seam or from the shoulder seam to the back open. And I'm doing this so that it is a finished seam in front and I don't have to hand stitch anything. And then it will be all encased into that shoulder seam, which you'll see in just a little bit. And then I flip it on out and I give it a really nice press. If you press your clothes as you make them, they'll always turn out that much better. And in half, getting everything to line up. This fabric was very light and a little woody to work with, but I still really like it. Next, we're going to sew the shoulder seams together. and get them nicely lined up. Make sure that facing is exactly where you want it to go. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the collar piece and I'm going to start at the center back seam and sew it to the shoulder seam, lining it up with that notch that I already have so that the finished side's already done and it'll be all finished now. There it is. Next, we're going to inset the sleeve, and it's just a straight inset. So all I have to do is line up the edges and serge them on. Stretch just a little bit over that cap, and there it is at the finish. Then we're going to sew the side seams, and it's becoming a garment so quickly. I love how fast you can sew with these sergers. And the other side seam. And finally, that back seam. And I am serging all the way up through that collar piece. That's how I designed it. I could have done the collar piece separate, but I chose to do it all in one. Then it's to finishing. So I'm just going to switch my machine to a rolled hem. Check out this video here if you want to see how to do that quickly on a baby lock. And I'm just going to serge, serge all the way around so that is a very nice, clean, rolled hem on the hem of the shirt and on the hem of my sleeves. And the last little thing is I'm just going to tack the collar right at the shoulder seam, right at the weakest point, where it goes from the back of the neck to the front of the neck, and there will be a lot of tension there. But look at how great that looks. I love it. And there you have it. That is how you can put this shirt together. The scalloped edge is a very cute, very unique feature. And if I did this again, I would definitely add just a little bit more interfacing and a little bit more structure into that facing to help give those scallops a little bit more crispness. But I am super, super happy with how it turned out. I absolutely love how unique this type shirt is, and it's so much fun. If you missed me drafting it, definitely check it out here. It's in the video where I also drafted or set up the Adobe Illustrator board, so you might have to jump to the middle towards end to see how I got this drafted. But it's so much fun. And if you're interested in learning more about digital apparel patterning, definitely shoot me a like and subscribe so that you can keep learning fun ways to digitally apparel pattern your wardrobe. And I look forward to seeing you in another video.